Alright, let's get into it. I'm 42, and for nearly 2 decades, 17 years if you count the 3 we dated before getting hitched, I thought I knew my wife. We built a life, a future. Or so I thought. Turns out, she was playing a different game entirely. This whole mess? It started with my parents, those snakes, who managed to fleece me out of almost $90,000. My life savings. Gone. Just like that. I run a chain of restaurants with a couple of buddies from business school. It's a decent gig, brings in good money. But I've always been saving, putting cash aside, wanting to start something of my own, expand. 90 grand, that was my war chest. Then last month, my parents, 64 and 63, hit me with a sob story. They were in deep financial trouble, about to lose their house, everything. Needed me to bail them out. They spun this elaborate tale about borrowing money before I was even born, from some distant relative, my dad's uncle. Said my mom got pregnant, had to quit her job, dad wasn't earning enough, they were struggling, so they borrowed. Promised to pay it back in a couple years, but instead, kept borrowing more until my dad finally got on his feet. By then, I was in middle school, and they had a mountain of debt. They begged his uncle for time, promising to pay it back after I graduated college. Years passed, nothing. Then the uncle died a couple of years ago, and they thought they were off the hook. Free and clear. Wrong. The uncle's son inherited everything, and he's been hounding them ever since. Threatened to get the law involved. My parents brushed him off at first, said it was all off the books, he couldn't prove anything. But a few months ago, this guy gave them a final warning, pay up, or he'd file a lawsuit. He was well connected, apparently. That got their attention. They tried to pay him back with what little they had saved. They told me they'd blown through their retirement funds and were about to lose their house and everything else. They were counting on me. Like a complete idiot, I fell for it. I didn't want to see them suffer. I even tried to buy them some time, asked if I could talk to the guy, tried to negotiate. But they said he had a short fuse, that I just had to trust them. Risky, yeah, but they're my parents, right? So I wired them the money. 90,000, off the books. Biggest mistake of my life. A week later, I realized I'd been blocked everywhere. My parents were gone. Poof. Their neighbors told me they'd sold their house a couple of days after I sent them the money and just vanished. Didn't tell a soul. I waited. Every damn day. Nothing. After about 2 weeks, it hit me. They'd scammed me. My life savings gone. Just like that. It was a gut punch. The only thing that kept me from completely losing my shit was my wife. She kept telling me it would be fine, I still had my business, I could earn it back. Start fresh. But $90,000? That took me 15 years to save. 15 years of grinding, saving every damn dime. The thought of doing another 15 years just to get back to where I was. It was soul-crushing. I tried working with my lawyer, but we didn't even know where my parents were. It was a dead end. I was almost ready to give up. Then, about 2 weeks ago, an email from them. An apology. Said they were really sorry, they had to scam me, had to make up all those lies. Turns out, it was a gambling debt. My dad. Gambling. They knew I'd lose my mind if I found out, so they cooked up that sob story about their struggles before I was born. Make me sympathize, make it easier to extract the cash. They were right, I probably wouldn't have given them a dime if I'd known it was for gambling. But that's no excuse to lie and steal from your own kid. They said they used my money to pay off the debt, sold the house to move away because they figured I wouldn't want to be around them anymore. Sorry for everything, they wrote. Hope you can forgive us someday. Forgive them? Pure rage. That's all I felt. I forwarded that email to my lawyer instantly. Proof. We could sue their asses. Get my money back. It would take time, sure, but it would be worth it. All those years of work gone. I wasn't just going to roll over. The amount was too damn big. But when I told my wife about it, she shut me down. Said she didn't think it was a good idea to go after them. They've already been through so much, she said. What the hell? They literally stole my money, and here we had them admitting it. Proof. We could get it back. I couldn't understand why she was siding with them. We got into it, a real shouting match. She started calling me heartless, saying it was just one tiny mistake they made. Tried to convince me I was being selfish. Said the fact that they didn't feel comfortable telling me the truth, that they had to resort to scamming me, was a sign I needed to be more compassionate. Then she went into this whole spiel about gambling being an addiction, out of one's control, like my father just lost control like an addict does. Said instead of lashing out, I should be more thoughtful and a better son, instead of worrying about my money. I tried to explain. They could have just been honest, Diane. Instead of scamming me, they chose to lie again. That's on you, she shot back. You never made them feel like you were a safe place. You're so uptight, so stringent, even your own parents are afraid to tell you the truth. It was infuriating. Every damn thing I said, she twisted it back on me, absolving my parents of all blame. She made me feel like I was the one in the wrong. Her manipulation was expert. I swear to God, after that argument, I found myself telling my lawyer to put everything on hold. I wasn't sure anymore if I wanted to go through with the proceedings. I started contemplating, questioning myself. Was I really the bad guy here? Even though I was the one who got scammed? The gaslighting was so good, I almost started believing maybe I was too hard on people. It didn't help that I already had a rep at work for being a tough guy, the bad cop. All of that shit combined had me wondering if I could have been better to my parents, and then maybe, just maybe, they would have been honest with me. I almost convinced myself not to go after them, that the money shouldn't matter as much as it did. My wife had hammered it into my head. It should be more important that your parents are safe and sound. Your obsession with savings makes me feel like you're too materialistic, choosing money over your own parents. We didn't speak for a couple of days. I was sleeping on the couch, replaying that argument, rereading my parents' email, trying to clear my head. Just so confused about what to do. My lawyer kept pushing. Strike while the iron's hot. But I kept putting it off. Didn't want to make the wrong move, end up losing my wife. I'd already lost my parents, even if they were alive. That's how I wasted a couple of days. I was almost ready to apologize to her. Then I saw it. A text on her phone. From my mother. And that changed everything. I'd taken a day off work, just wandering around the house, depressed as hell. My wife left her phone at home when she went to work. Curiosity, or maybe just pure desperation for some clarity, got the better of me when I saw her screen light up with text notifications. I knew it was petty, but I snooped. Wanted to know if she was talking shit about me to her friends during our fight. Best damn childish decision I ever made. Because I found out my wife of almost 2 decades had been in cahoots with my parents the whole damn time. I knew her password, so getting in was easy. I started scrolling through her texts. Then one popped up from my mother. My mother. I knew I had to read it. Why the hell would they be talking, especially after the scam? My mother's text. Did you convince him not to go through with the lawsuit yet? Followed by another. If he sues us, the deal is off. Fishy. Very fishy. I scrolled up, desperate for context. And then it all unfolded. This had been in the works for a while. My wife had been talking to my parents ever since they sent that email. My parents had initially reached out to her, pretending to be concerned about me. But she turned the tables. Threatened them. Said she wasn't above taking those texts to the cops, having them trace their location, forcing them to return the money. Up until that point I thought, hell yeah, she's standing up for me. Then my parents offered her half the money they'd gotten from selling their house and other properties. To keep her mouth shut. To convince me not to sue. So, they did have money. They just didn't want to use their money to pay off their gambling debts. They wanted to use my money. And my wife, my loving, supportive wife, agreed to it. She agreed to convince me to keep my lawyer out of it, as long as she got her cut. From the texts, she'd already received half, and was due the other half in a couple of months, provided I didn't sue. My heart felt like it was cracking in my chest, but I pushed the sadness aside. That could wait. Right now, I needed evidence. I took a bunch of screenshots, emailed them to myself. Then I recorded the screen while scrolling through the conversation, sent that video to myself too. Just to be safe. I knew she'd be back soon to get her phone. So I packed a few things quickly. Got out. Drove to a hotel a little out of town. Switched my phone off. I wanted her to know I knew. I didn't bother deleting the screenshots I'd sent from her phone. Let her see them. Let her know. Once I was in the hotel, phone back on, I ignored every single text from her. Called my lawyer. Told him everything. Sent him all the evidence. And this time, I wasn't just suing my parents. I was suing her too. She took money that was rightfully mine. And I was filing for divorce. There was no coming back from this. Her texts started flooding in. So sorry. Just one chance to explain. Did it for us. Going to tell you eventually when I had all the money. Misreading the situation. I'm on your side. Going to use the money for our future. None of it mattered. She manipulated me. Gaslighted me. Lied to me. For money. We had a good life. Even with my parents screwing me over, we could still afford what we wanted. It made no sense for her to go against me, just for cash. Pure greed. But that wasn't even the worst part. It was the fact that she had been actively manipulating me into forgiving my parents, making me question my own damn sanity. That's what truly stung. If she had any intention of using that money for our future, she could have just been honest. Instead of playing mind games. Even if I forgave her, I'd never be able to trust her again. Divorce was the only viable option. So, my lawyer and I pushed ahead. Papers were served a couple of days ago. It was a pain in the ass locating my parents, had to hire a professional, but he found them. Got them served in person, just like I wanted. Haven't heard from my parents. My wife? She's losing her mind. I haven't blocked her yet, and the texts are relentless. The day she got served with both the divorce and the lawsuit papers, I could feel her desperation. She's been begging me to reconsider the divorce, saying it was a mistake. She wants to make it up to me. I feel like a total jerk. I know I'm breaking her heart. But what choice do I have? I spent over a decade with this woman, and she tried to screw me over. The way she's begging, it's making me feel miserable. All those years, she kept saying she was doing it for us. Now I'm just confused. Am I the asshole for divorcing my wife of 14 years because she manipulated me into forgiving my scamming parents? Update 1. It's been weeks since I filed those petitions, and yeah, I finally blocked my wife. I don't have anything left to say to her. She kept trying to talk to me, trying to get me to come back, for about a week straight before I finally cut her off. Part of the reason was all the comments here, people telling me I needed to run, that she was a massive red flag. I think the only reason I was even questioning myself in the first place was because I loved her. I desperately wanted to hold on to the belief that she would never do something like this to me. But I couldn't ignore the facts anymore. She betrayed me. She manipulated me. She probably would never have told me the truth herself. I had to find out by chance, by pure dumb luck. After a betrayal of this degree, I don't think I could ever bring myself to trust her again. So, no matter how much I loved her and wanted to be with her, I had to let go for the sake of my own sanity. Blocking her was actually a huge relief. My head feels a lot clearer now. The legal proceedings against my parents and my wife have started, and things are definitely going in my favor. I know for a fact now that I'm getting my money back, so I'm not worried about the future on that front. My parents are going to pay for all the lies they made up, and my lawyer and I are going to make damn sure of that. They already looked miserable on the day we met for our first settlement negotiation, But my goal is to make sure they look and feel just as miserable as I did when they scammed me. My wife tried to talk to me that day too. It was tough, but I dodged her somehow. Got back to the hotel without having to interact with her directly. And now I just have to keep doing that until this is all over. It's probably going to be really difficult, but I know I do not want to speak to my wife under any circumstances. Mostly, I'm afraid that talking to her might make me weak again. I can't afford to let that happen. I don't want to go back to her because I know that could be the worst move I make. I know very well she can totally manipulate me into coming back. She almost did it once. When it comes to her, I have practically no self-control. So, it's best for me not to take that risk at all. It's already hard enough to meet her and fight her legally. I can't do more than that right now. Update 2. So, my wife decided to contact me today. In person. She showed up at the hotel I'd been living in. When I got the call from the front desk, telling me she was here, I was completely confused. I haven't told anyone where I was, apart from my lawyer and a couple of close friends I trust. And I knew they wouldn't tell her. When I spoke to her, I found out she'd been visiting every hotel in and around town for the past couple of days, looking for me. Said now that she'd finally found me, she wasn't leaving without a conversation. I didn't know what else to do, so I invited her up to my room. Didn't want to make a scene in the lobby. Once we were inside, I just waited for her to start talking. I had nothing to say. After some awkward silence, she finally spoke. Said she was here to ask me to stop the divorce proceedings. I just couldn't believe she was bringing this up again. I really knew it. I told her, very clearly, that it was bad enough she was here, and she shouldn't make things worse for herself by trying to corner me. I told her I wasn't going to entertain any discussion about stopping the divorce. But she kept pushing. Said she'd testify against my parents, make everything much easier for me, if I decided to stay with her. It was ridiculous. Exasperating. I had to explain, again, that's not how things work. She couldn't just turn on my parents and expect me to take her back. She'd really screwed our relationship up, and there was just no fixing it anymore. Mostly because I didn't want to fix it. I wanted to leave, and I'd made that pretty damn clear. But she just couldn't accept it. She started crying, asking why I was punishing her when she'd already learned her lesson. It was so absurd I actually chuckled. Punishing her? She was making it sound like I was some disgruntled schoolteacher, not her husband who she had betrayed and manipulated. I told her I wasn't punishing her. I was protecting myself. Doing what was best for me. And right now, staying away from her was the best thing I could do. But she kept crying, saying she was doing this all for us. And she wasn't ready to throw away over a decade of her life because of a stupid little mistake. I felt miserable about the divorce too, but if I couldn't even trust her, what was the point? That's what I needed her to understand. So I thought I'd explain it gently, have this conversation once and for all, so she would finally give up and move on. I told her I couldn't be with her, even though I loved her, because she had hurt me. Broken my trust. And that's something you just can't take back, no matter how hard you try. So now, she could do whatever she wanted, but it wasn't going to undo the damage. I would never be able to forget what she had put me through. So, even if we stayed together and canceled the divorce, it wouldn't make any sense. I would just keep doubting her, questioning her, and that would make both of us miserable. So, it wasn't just for me, it was in her best interest too, to go through with the divorce instead of trying to fight it. I thought I was getting through to her. Making progress. Until she got back on her feet and told me I was wrong. Said she would keep fighting for us to be together. Unlike me, she said. She loved me and wasn't ready to give up on our marriage because of a misunderstanding. And then she walked out. I've been sitting here for the past hour, wondering what the hell to do. This is just incredibly frustrating. This could be a clear-cut divorce, an easy process. But she's just bent on making this a lot more difficult than it needs to be. I told my lawyer about it, and he says there's not much we can do. If she doesn't want to get divorced, There's very little we can do to speed up the process. It's infuriating, but I can't do anything about this. Update 3. Hey, haven't updated you guys in a while. Just thought I'd drop in and let you know that the legal process is still ongoing, but I'm winning this for sure. My parents are just trying to buy themselves more time. My wife is still trying to fight against the divorce, even though it's been almost 6 months since the proceedings began. I feel bad for her at this point. She's very obviously in denial about this whole mess. Her family isn't speaking to her either, presumably because they found out the truth. It must be hard, but again, not my fault. Update 4. It's been almost 8 months since I made my original post here, and today, my parents and wife were finally ordered to return all the money to me. I have to hand it to them and their lawyers. They fought pretty hard, even knowing they were on the losing side. The cards were stacked against them from the start. I wish I could post a picture of their faces when they realized they'd lost, but just know, it was incredibly satisfying. I think I'll be holding on to that feeling for a really long time. As for my wife, we are definitely getting divorced. At this point, it doesn't really matter if she agrees with it or not. The legal process is just an obligation now, a formality. In my head, I'm already separated from her, nothing to do with her. It's been a great run, but unfortunately it has to come to an end because of her own stupidity and foolishness, not to mention how selfish and manipulative she was. I've moved from the hotel into my own apartment. We don't know who's going to get the house in the divorce. I'm hoping it's me. I feel like I was wronged, so I deserve the house more. We still have to divide all our property, and I think it's best for us to just sell everything we own together and split whatever we get. I think I'm being pretty damn generous with that, considering she tried to screw me out of my share of money by siding with my parents. She isn't trying to contact me anymore, which is a huge relief. I think by now, she should know this isn't going to work. I've also started thinking about my business plan again, which I think I'll actively start working on as soon as the divorce is finalized. Things are finally beginning to look up. I have a lot of work to do ahead of me. I have to rebuild my life and learn how to live on my own. It's going to be a long journey, I know that. But it's going to be worth it.